Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You won't believe what happened to me when I caught my husband at a hotel with his female colleague, and how they turned the tables on me. I never imagined my life could fall apart in just one night. One moment, I was a devoted wife, trusting and loving, believing in the marriage I had built for years. The next, I was standing in a dimly lit hotel hallway, my heart racing, my hands trembling as I stared at the room number I had been given. Tower 6. My husband's name was on the reservation, and I wasn't supposed to be here. It started with a gut feeling, the kind that gnaws at you in the middle of the night. Ryan had been acting distant, working late, avoiding eye contact, always on his phone, laughing at messages he'd never shared. And then there was her, Sophie, his bright-eyed, ever-smiling colleague. She was always there, always in his shadow, always just a little too close. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being paranoid. But tonight, I had proof. A friend had tipped me off. A quiet phone call, hesitant but urgent. Lena, you need to check the Grand Crest Hotel, room 306. Ryan is there, with Sophie. My blood ran cold. I barely remembered driving over. My mind, a blur of emotions, fear, anger, heartbreak. I wasn't ready to see it with my own eyes, but I had to. I had to know the truth. I took a deep breath and knocked. No answer. Another knock. Still nothing. My chest tightened. And then, just as I was about to turn away, the door creaked open. Ryan stood there, his shirt slightly unbuttoned, his hair disheveled, his expression caught somewhere between shock and irritation, and behind him, Sophie, wrapped in a silk robe, her damp hair over her shoulders, her lips curving into the smallest smirk. My stomach twisted. "What are you doing here?" Ryan's voice was sharp, as if I was the one in the wrong. "I should be asking you that." I shot back, my voice shaking. "What is this, Ryan? Why are you here with her?" Sophie crossed her arms, tilting her head with fake concern. "Lena, this isn't what it looks like." But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. I stepped forward, my heart pounding. "I want the truth, Ryan." He exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. "You shouldn't have come here," he muttered, his jaw tightening. And then, before I could process what was happening, security stormed in. 2 men in uniform grabbed my arms. "Ma'am, we've received a complaint of trespassing and harassment," one of them said firmly. "What?" I gasped, struggling against their grip. "I didn't—" "She's been following us," Sophie cut in, her voice shaking with well-practiced fear. "She's been obsessed with Ryan for months. I told you, Ryan, we should have reported her sooner." My breath hitched, my vision blurred. "What are you talking about? I'm his wife." Ryan sighed, rubbing his temple as if I were some burden. "Lena, please, you need help. This has gone too far." I felt like I was drowning. The walls closed in. I wanted to scream, to make them see the truth. But the looks on their faces told me it was useless. No one believed me. That night, my life was shattered. Ryan and Sophie had framed me. They made me out to be some desperate, unhinged woman who couldn't accept reality. In one cruel moment, I lost everything. My marriage, my dignity, my place in the world. I was humiliated, painted as the villain in a story I didn't write. But I wouldn't be the victim. I didn't know it then. But that night was the beginning of something much bigger, because fate had other plans for me. And when I returned, I would make them pay. I don't remember how I got home that night. Everything felt like a blur, like I was floating outside my own body, watching my life unravel. From a distance, my hands were shaking, my breath uneven, my mind spinning with disbelief. Ryan and Sophie had set me up, lied about me, and the worst part? People believed them. The police didn't arrest me, but the humiliation was enough. The hotel security escorted me out like some crazed stalker, warning me to never come back. Guests in the lobby whispered, their judgmental stares burning into my skin. I had never felt so small. When I got home, I expected Ryan to come after me, to at least try to explain, but he never did. Hours passed, then days. I called him. I texted. Nothing. He had vanished, just like that. And then, as if to twist the knife deeper, I received an official notice. Divorce papers. No explanation, no discussion. Just a cold, heartless envelope with my name on it. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the papers, my hands gripping the edge so tightly my knuckles turned white. Was this really happening? Was my marriage, my entire lifetime really over just like that? I wasn't perfect, but I had been a loyal, loving wife. I had supported Ryan through everything. His career, his struggles, his dreams. I sacrificed my own aspirations to be there for him. And now, after everything, he didn't even have the decency to face me. Instead, he and Sophie painted me as the villain. But why? Why go this far? Then, it hit me. Money. Ryan and I had built our life together. We weren't struggling, but most of our assets, our house, our savings, were in my name. I had inherited a small fortune from my late father, money Ryan once promised we'd never have to touch. But now he wanted to erase me from the picture. And Sophie, she wasn't just some fling. She was a calculated move. I started digging, looking for answers, and what I found made my stomach turn. Ryan and Sophie had been planning this for months. I went through old messages, credit card statements, hidden emails. They were laundering money. Sophie wasn't just a colleague. She was his partner in crime. They had been slowly transferring funds, covering their tracks, making it look like I was the one mismanaging finances. And now, with me out of the picture, they could take it all. I was furious. I was heartbroken. But most of all, I was determined. Ryan and Sophie thought they had won. They thought they could destroy me and walk away unscathed. But they underestimated me. I wasn't the same woman they had crushed. That Lena was gone. The new me. I was coming back. And this time, I wouldn't lose. I had lost everything. My husband, my reputation, my dignity. But I wasn't broken. Not anymore. Ryan and Sophie had played their game well, but they made one mistake. They thought I would stay quiet. I spent weeks gathering evidence, piecing together every detail of their scheme. I traced money transfers, found fake business accounts, and even uncovered hidden messages between them. But that wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed something that would destroy them, the way they had tried to destroy me. And then fate handed me exactly what I needed. Ryan had always been careful, but Sophie, she had a habit of getting too comfortable. She trusted the wrong people. One night, I got a message from someone unexpected, one of Ryan's old business partners. I know what they did to you. The message read, and I have proof. My heart pounded as I met him in a quiet cafe downtown. He slid a flash drive across the table, his expression unreadable. Ryan and Sophie didn't just steal from you. They've been laundering money through the company. And now, they're getting greedy. I plugged the flash drive into my laptop that night, my hands trembling. What I saw made my stomach churn. Emails, bank transactions, even video recordings of meetings where they planned everything. Not just framing me, but funneling money into offshore accounts, bribing officials, and preparing to disappear once they had drained everything. They had been one step away from getting away with it. But now, I had them. I didn't go to the police right away. No, that would be too easy. I wanted Ryan to feel the same panic, the same helplessness he had forced on me. So, I waited, I watched, and when the time was right, I set my trap. Ryan and Sophie were attending a high-profile corporate event, one of those flashy gatherings where wealthy investors threw around money like it meant nothing. It was perfect, public, surrounded by the very people they had lied to. I walked into that event like I belonged there. Heads turned as I stepped forward, dressed in the very gown Ryan once told me was his favorite. I spotted them instantly. Ryan and Sophie, laughing, drinking, acting like they had already won. They didn't see me at first, not until I stepped up to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice steady, clear. "Before we continue this evening, I'd like to share something important." Ryan turned, his face draining of color. Sophie stiffened beside him. I clicked a button on my phone. The massive screen behind me lit up with evidence. Screenshots of stolen money transfers. Audio recordings of their whispered conversations. And then, the final blow, a video of Ryan, himself, bragging to a colleague about how he framed me to cover his tracks. Gasps filled the room. Murmurs turned into shocked whispers. Investors checked their phones, scanning the evidence that was now public. Security stepped forward. But this time, not for me. Ryan tried to talk his way out of it, his voice desperate, cracking under the weight of his own lies. Sophie backed away, shaking her head as if she could somehow distance herself. But it was over. The authorities had been watching. They had all the proof they needed. And just like that, the people who had stolen everything from me were led away in handcuffs, their faces pale with shock. As Ryan passed me, he looked at me with something I had never seen before. Fear. And I just smiled, because I had won. In the end, I didn't just clear my name. I got my life back. And more importantly, I proved that I was never the weak, helpless woman they tried to make me out to be. I walked out of that event, with my head high, breathing in the night air. The past was behind me, and my future. It was mine to rebuild.